guys, welcome back to the Lifestyle Podcast. If you haven't already, obviously make sure you subscribe. Today's pretty cool. There's a new segment I wanted to launch on the podcast, which is getting a perspective from a coach. And or better way to start with, I reckon one of the best, and like he already knows it, eh? One of the best that is out there. He's worked with so many athletes at high performance levels. Good friend of mine from back in uni, so come a fair way, but stoked to have Coach Sunz on the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today, bro.
No, thank you for inviting me, and I'm glad I'm the first one. So
yes,
I'm gonna set the bar here.
Yeah, set it high, man. Set it high. For those that don't know who you are, please just give us a bit of intro, who you are, but also like a bit of your background, where you came from, where you brought up.
So I guess I'm known as Coach Sunz to most people in NZ or outside of NZ, and I'm primarily in strength and conditioning in regards to the high performance and return to performance from injury, so your post-surgery or whatever that may be, even if it's not surgery. So I'm really driven by performance and getting you back to not so much return to sport, but return to performance. That's my goal. But yeah, I'm originally from South Africa, moved here 2001. I was 17 years old. So again, massive culture shock for me, because coming from my neighborhood, like, I mean, you're coming from a place where there's no cafes, none of that nonsense. So yeah, didn't even know what a flat white was.
Oh, no way.
No, none of that. So when I first got here, and it happened to be Starbucks on Queen Street, because, you know, at that time, that's the place to go into the city and whatnot. And a friend asked me, you know, what do you want? And I'm looking up, and there's that the big menu. I don't know what I don't know what a mochaccino is.
Yeah.
I don't know what a flat white is. So I asked the girl at the counter, I'm like, do you have like normal coffee? Like, I'm talking instant. Like, that's all I know.
Yeah.
So that's when I figured out a flat white's the most normal coffee ever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everything was culture shock, you know, first world country, everything you can expect with the big lights and everything. Again, coming from my neighborhood, low socioeconomic group and community is definitely, again, we're not exposed to a lot of the stuff that, I mean, even here in your low socioeconomic communities and groups, you're still a walk away from modern facilities and stuff. Whereas for us, we're never, you know, going into the main city for us was like an excursion. Whereas it's taken for granted. Yeah, I think so. And I mean, you know, I'm not blaming anybody. No, I'm not blaming anybody. It's just the way it is, and obviously the way Africa is and where we're from. But yeah, I think for me, I loved that part of my life in terms of that 17 years in Africa. Developed a lot of character in who I am, and it's probably come to light now in my coaching years. Yeah. So I got here and, you know, did my uni and all of that, and there was that in between. But once I moved into my coaching, I think my first 17 years of my life, those experiences and life experiences are what drives my coaching. So yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit of a hard case sometimes, but a lot of, I think, the athletes and people that work with me know I love a good laugh.
Yes.
That's a little short intro. I'm sure we'll dive into more as we continue speaking.
Yeah, for sure, man. And like when you moved over, was that like you moved with your whole family, or did you just kind of move by yourself?
I moved with my family. So there's mom, dad, and 3 sisters. But of the 3 sisters, the middle one, she's back in South Africa with her family. So, but everybody else, we here. So just the immediate family, we here. So we come over, and 2001, we all made the journey.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And like obviously before you head into like uni and all that, because you studied obviously in the sport industry at uni, like did you kind of already know that that was something that you wanted to get into, or where did sport come into it?
For me, so I was always into sport.
Yeah.
So back in South Africa, I used to play football as in soccer. I was in athletics heavily, volleyball and cricket, and all at age group representative, regional and national.
Yeah.
So I was heavily involved at the highest level for the age group.
Yeah.
And my father, he used to be a professional runner, footballer, boxing. So I
Sure.
had a little bit of big shoes to fill there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Coming from my neighborhood, it's you're either going to try and make it out of the neighborhood with sport to obviously help your family or education. So I had to do both. I had to do
Right.
both in that sense. So I had to make sure my grades was right, because if sport don't come through for me, then I got a backup plan. Obviously, I wanted sport to be the main thing.
Yeah. Sure.
But education had to be there because I needed to go to university. And my father, when I was born, he took out a little like policy. And again, we're not from a wealthy family. So whatever he could afford, he put it so that when I finished school, which was going to be one more year, and then I'd have money to go to university, because not everybody can afford it. So like my sister got accepted, but she had to go and work because obviously we couldn't afford to put her into university. So she just went down and started working. So it's a real thing in regards to you have to have money, or you have to have some sort of policy to help study. And the old man wanted me to be like, look, don't work as hard as me. You need to work smart. So yeah, got here and I played football, but then I think my second year into NZ, I had a full knee reconstruction.
No
So
way.
that put a damper on everything. Uh, so the thing is, I had medicine, physio in the mines, and I was just chasing money
Right.
because everything back home was like, look, we hardly have anything.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not even having enough food in the house, so everything is we were doing is like, how can we be in a better financial situation? So I'm like, look, I gotta study and get jobs that I know are paying a lot. So I thought about that. I fluffed around a little bit, and it wasn't my passion. Like, still within sport, because if it was the medicine route, it was going to be down that sport physician side, physio, a sport physiotherapist. But for me, I just didn't want to be trapped indoors. So I was like, nah, that's it. And I applied to sports science and got a scholarship. And then from there, boom, everything was become very clear for me. I started really enjoying it and seeing some of the other, I guess, the lecturers that were at university. We become close friends while I was at uni, because I paid a real interest into what's happening and how they do things. And switch just went on, and I'm like, that's it. When I finish uni, I'm gonna shoot for the top. And when someone asked me once, like, what are you gonna do? I go, I'm gonna be the boss of the world in SNC. And that was my answer. And I've been chasing it. I'm still chasing it. Again, people don't like it when people say stuff like that. But for me, I'm just doing me. I'm not offending anybody. That's my driver. It's like, I want to be the best. I don't set myself like I just want to be the best in NZ. No, I want to be known everywhere.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, I'll just keep working and keep on doing things. And as things appear, they give me verification that, okay, so you're actually doing okay, not bad. And then keep working from there.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And like, when you came out of uni, like in terms of strength and conditioning, like, because obviously there's different parts of coaching, like people coach sports teams and that, but what made you like target in on the strength and conditioning side of stuff? You talked about performance like early, but kind of like what was the trigger for you to go down that path?
For me, because as I started studying and the world of sports science had more light on it, like obviously social media overseas on TV and through university, you could see what's happening around the world. I was like, man, I wish I had these SNC coaches to help me when I was training. Because I didn't know what I was doing. I was just doing whatever my father told me to do. I was doing whatever I would have seen maybe on TV, like a show that'll come on your local TV that goes, these are what this team is doing, or you see in a paper or magazine. No clue. You're just training so hard because you go, if they're doing it, I got to do that. But no real help. So
Yeah.
I'm like, look, I need to get in a position where I can help not only the best, but those that are getting missed out by the system.
Yeah.
So a lot of talent get missed out by the system. They don't fall under the scaling system or whoever gets carded. I don't know how all that works. Sometimes that needs to be remodeled. That's another conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I think a lot of kids are missing out on opportunities because of old system,
Yeah.
right? And I feel for me, that's where I wanted to come in and help as many young athletes and athletes just on that brink of breaking it, get to that next step, because I have the knowledge and experience now. So for me, I'm like, if I can help these, then boom, that part I'm satisfied is ticked off, because I never had that help, and I know what it's like when you put your hand up and nobody looked, everybody turns a blind eye. So I'm like, look, I'll help whoever I can. And over the years, to this day, I still train people. I take no money from them. I'll pay for people's competitions. I'll buy gear, purely because I know what it's like. So I do whatever I can, and hopefully it does something for somebody.
But that's cool. Man, I'm getting goosebumps already, and not really just started. No, that's so cool, man. Like, because like you mentioned about the first 17 years when you were brought up, and how that kind of is I guess, pinnacle drive to where you are now. When you first came out of uni, you obviously established now in a place now where you're at. But before that, like, how did it kind of you journey into working for yourself, I guess, being your own boss? Did you go into other organizations to start off, or how did that work for you?
So in the last year of university, I planned with another friend of mine, Alex Owen, that was at uni. We planned on opening a gym. We just wanted it sport driven, because we've been in gyms and we see what gyms are like. We're like, wow, we don't want that. We don't want commercial style. We just want something that's purely fun. People want to come there, but train really hard. And it took that whole year to, I guess, plan it, of how what we vision it to look like. And the moment we finished university, the start of the following year, opened up and just ran with it. And we decided we're going to learn as we go, day by day, week by week, month by month. We're going to learn from whatever mistakes we're making. But we just took a gamble and we went for it. And then, we were there for 4 years. And then we ended up going our own ways. And from there, because I had this vision, what I wanted to do to be like, obviously, the boss. I wanted to be the boss. And I wanted, because I feel like I can see things in terms of biomechanics and movement. I get very excited by movement. And I understand anatomy very well and physiology really well, that when I watch things, I can see how it potentially could be changed. So I'm like, look, I just want to focus on that. And first got a few athletes, football, Israel Adesanya, who is now UFC middleweight world champ. He was with me from early days, my second year that I opened that gym. And then, the likes of Tom Abercrombie come along. And then from there, word of mouth, from athlete to athlete to club to club. And everybody wanted to know who's this Sunz guy. And I went on. But while I was at university, I started training teams. I started training under 19 teams in my second year of university. No money. I didn't want money. I literally go to the clubs and go, give me a team. I'm telling you, I could do something to them.
That's so cool.
They took a chance, finished university, opened the gym. I was still training teams for free. I even trained a national league team in Waikato for free in football. I used to drive from near Wellsford, where I live. I'd drive to FMG Stadium 4 times a week, train them, and drive back. No money. No money at all. Purely because I said, look, I'm so confident in my abilities. Just give me your team, please. I want to show you what I can do.
That's so
cool. From there, after that, boom, 5 years later, here we are.
Yeah. So, man, that's so cool, and it's cool to hear. Like, you can hear like your genuineness, like in your coaching and stuff. You obviously love what you do, as well. When I remember seeing a few articles in that you talked about injury like prevention, and that because you're quite big in terms of I think I saw it was basically talking about like a lot of the times when people go into training and things like that, they don't really get taught in terms of, yes, injuries come, but like the process in regards to there's possibly ways that you can actually go around that. Do you want to like talk about that a bit more?
Yeah, for me, how I see it, and I think for me, this is every situation in life. I always prep myself for the worst. I
Right.
always prep. I first things first. If I was a young athlete and I got accepted into a team, the first things within that first 5 minutes, excited, but then I start planning straight away on the negatives.
Right. Okay.
Right, this could happen. This could potentially go wrong. Teammates could not like me. There could be jealousy. They could be fighting for spots. Um, I got to compete every day to maintain my starting position. I start going to everything that could go wrong. I start planning, okay, how will I deal with it? So I take my time and spend, I think, more time on the negatives or what's deemed negatives that could hinder my performance or hinder my progress towards my goal. So that way, when a situation arises, I can go, okay, let me adopt this plan. And
Cool.
when I adopt a plan and I run its course, I'm then able to know if it works. Maybe 4 steps of the 8 worked. So cool, I'll use the 4 steps. I know the other 4 didn't work, so I'm not going to waste my time on it.
Yeah.
So I always tell in terms of athletes and whether it's you're not even in a pro environment, prep yourself for the worst. But that way that when things happen, yes, you're going to be disappointed. That's natural instincts. But there's ways around it. Like if you want to be the best, you've got to be prepared. You're pushing yourself, not just physically, you're pushing yourself mentally every single day. Like the mental game is so big.
Yeah.
I think it's more than the physical because it drives the physical. You
Yeah.
turn up to a session and you not there, it's because your head's not there.
Yeah.
Everything comes from up here. So my thing is every day, don't be scared or don't stress if 10 days or after 10 days of amazing training, your 11th day is bad. You can't always have, good days. You're going to have one day that's bad. And all that is saying is your body communicating with you and going, oh, hold on, Charlie. You need to just relax for a little bit. Can we have like a little 5-minute timeout? I need to rest. I need my mind to rest because everything was going so well that you kept pushing and pushing and pushing. You fail to realize like, okay, am I balancing my work and rest ratio? Am I just working? And when you're not physically working, you're still mentally working.
Yeah. True.
Are you actually turning the mental side off as well?
Yeah.
Because if you mentally burnt, this vehicle ain't working for nobody.
Yeah.
So through the years, I seen athletes that are mentally burnt because I know personally, physically, I know what you're doing weekly, monthly, but what's going on? Overthinking, everything is going. I'm not putting it solely to that, but the big thing is learning to turn off.
Yeah.
Have a checklist.
Like, just when you said that, like, in terms of turning off, like, what kind of I guess tools or like resources have you found has helped some athletes switch off?
So the first things I tell athletes that are to help them switch off is do something outside of your sport. So don't revolve your life around it. We always say you got to live it, you got to breathe it, you got to be about it. Yes, 100%. But then there's times where you have to enable this detachment that's part of being about it.
Yeah.
because this comes down to the mental side.
Mm.
So we tell, like, stop watching tape in terms of, we love analyzing games.
Yeah.
Watch your game back. Go and watch other teams play. Don't do that. Don't talk to anyone about your sport. Don't talk to the same people. Have groups of friends outside of your sport,
Yeah.
because
That's
if you hanging out with your teammates, the only thing you're ever going to talk about is what you're doing.
Yeah.
So if you hang out with people that don't even play, I'm not saying now go, okay, I'm going to ditch my friends and go find them.
Yeah.
But it's okay to socialize with people that don't do what you do. It's perfectly fine. Because I have, like, my best friends, my group of best friends, none of them play sport anymore.
Right.
They're either married, getting married, have kids and stuff. So a lot of the time people see me so busy with athletes. And then there's times I'm just with my friends, because
Yeah.
even I need a break.
Yeah.
Even I need to switch off, because how can I ask you to bring your best if I can't bring my best?
Yeah.
It's a two-way street. So I'm always saying, like, stop talking about it. Stop watching stuff. Like, completely do things different. Go fishing. Go to the beach. Do things with different groups of people, just so you mentally detached from it.
Yeah. That's so cool, man. Like, and it's awesome hearing that, because I know that a lot of athletes, not just in high performance, but even just at the club level and at school level, would find that hard to switch off. So just hearing like little tools like that can definitely help them. And if you can get it young, like while they're young, it will help so much more.
100%. Everything's about routine, and routine creates habit, and habit enables change.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And like for you, when obviously when you go through a day-to-day basis, it obviously probably looks different every day. You do work with individuals, individual athletes, but do you do it a lot with teams still, or is it purely mainly on the one-on-one?
No, I still work with individuals, individual athletes, whether you're pro, elite, or sub-elite, or club level. I still work with them, whether it's programming for them. I work with teams, my football teams, plus I'm the SNC for the All Whites. So that keeps me busy in terms of planning.
Yeah.
Teams are still there. Groups of athletes from teams.
Okay.
I'll work with them, but then sometimes I'll group individuals together. So, right. So if they want to work on speed, so I'll have 5, 10, 20 different athletes from all different sport that require that speed. So it's easy for me to then group it, because I don't have time to do like one person at a time.
Yeah.
So it's very easy for me to just group it, and I prefer the group sessions, because I think the energy is great, and we're generally all on the same page.
Yeah.
I think when we come to the session, we all know we're there to have each other's back. So then the session, automatically the energy is sky high.
Yeah. And like when you do group them together, obviously when them coming from different sports, if it's like they're working on speed, even though they play, whether it be a field sport or like on the court, like netball and that, is it quite similar in terms of like the fundamentals of what you're teaching?
Generally, if I know I've got a big group that I've put, for example, netball, football, union, league, athletics. Sometimes for my athletics, it could be a cross training for them if they were their group, because everything for them is so straight line. So we'll generally work in that 0 to 20 meter work.
Okay.
A lot of that acceleration work, which is very transferable through all team sport.
Right.
So it'll suit everybody, and they'll enable that training effect, or be able to get the training effect, because it's not. I mean, I can't have, I guess, a marathon runner with a whole lot of them, because it's not going to do much for them.
Yeah.
It's all grouped with similarities, because again, that 0 to 20 meters is when we go. And then if I need a group that has to do longer, like obviously football, union, and league, where we do bigger 40, 50, 60 full field stuff, then I'll group them together.
Yeah. No, that's cool. And like when you do, I guess team going back to it's like club teams or like high performance teams with the All Whites and that, like what kind of like training I guess as such would you really focus on them? Like you know how there's like speed, agility, and all that. Is it? Do you then narrow it down to their specific sport, or do you still kind of just touch on the fundamentals?
Yeah, so generally the fundamentals, and then it just comes down to what each individual needs to improve on.
Okay, cool.
I keep everything very simple and basic, and simple and basic is not necessarily easy. I don't get carried away with social media in terms of what somebody else is doing or what other teams are doing.
Yeah,
I have got my philosophy, my ideas of how I see training should be.
that's cool.
And for me, SNC is secondary. Your
Yeah.
field and sports specific, whether it's court, your sports specific training is primary. I'm there purely to complement that.
Okay.
You are not competing in the gym. That's not your sport.
Yeah.
So I'm just accessorizing and making everything fine. Like I'm fine tuning your car. That's how I do it. If you need to go a little faster, we'll program you to be a little faster, even though you're in a big team environment.
Yeah.
And just today, I was having a conversation to one of my rugby boys, and he's like, it's cool when you've got 10 different athletes there, but 5 doing one thing, 1 doing another thing, because some similarities, I'll group them together. You need to work on balance. So it comes down to individual little pieces of work, and then everybody does the basic concept of what we need to improve. Because I always say, strengthen your strengths and your weaknesses. So if
Yeah.
something's working for you, why not make it better? Don't
Yeah.
just focus on your weaknesses.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And like, I guess in if like you get an athlete come through, firstly, like how do the athletes come through? Like in terms of if someone wanted to get coached by you, is that you only specifically just work with high performance now, or is it because I've had a chat with like a few people lately, and in terms of like younger ones still at school and that, and like having a I guess a strength and conditioning coach is almost normal at a high performance level, but if they're coming through the like from grassroots level up, like how important do you reckon it is like to have a coach like yourself in that, and is it something worth investing in at a young age?
Yes.
As in like say high school way.
Yeah, so high school I think is very important for having a strength and conditioning coach. And I used to work with Meg's football first 11. I used to work with the netball team, and I used to work with their fencing team. I also used to work with Sacred Hearts football and first 15 team, and I worked with De La Salle's first 15 team. So I think it's very important because you got school kids at that level that playing premier school level, but are also talented enough to be playing senior club level. And so there's that, I'll put it as school, senior club, and then you start getting into that sub-elite sort of, if we look at, rugby, your ITM, your football, your national league, and then you go into your pro leagues, your super rugby and your A-league sort of stuff. So they're only about 2 steps away. So if we're not prepping them at high school, once they leave school or get drafted from school, they're gonna break.
Yeah.
If they're not taught the fundamentals and strengthening their bodies within their planes and allowing them to go a little bit outside of those planes, to stress their body a little, because you don't want it to be the first time outside of school with no SNC. That's when a lot of injuries come about. So I'm not saying going crazy like seniors would do. You have to play it by what's in front of you.
Yeah.
First, look at how well can they control their own body weight.
Yeah.
If you can control your own body weight well, then we can load you. If you can't control your body weight well, why are we putting external load? Let's help you control your body first. Understand, because you're still growing. So as you grow, your levers and your lengths of your levers change. So that's going to change your movement in the next 6 months. So now it may be fine. 6 months down the line, your body is trying to understand, oh, wait, why am I feeling so funny? Well, you just grown another centimeter on each lever. So we have to be aware of these things, that growth happens. We got to help them understand how movement changes with growth, and then allow them to go through those changes with S&C that will help them not
Yeah.
break, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's cool. And like with, I guess, those high school kids or just leaving high school, like for you, probably what's like some of them, like, I guess, exciting things that you enjoy working with that specific age group?
I think for me, I like obviously, I'll only work with you if you're really hungry and you're dedicated and you're not chasing the status. For me, I just love to see the improvement, how well they're developing, and how well they're taking to all this extra pressure. uh, yeah, it's just, for me, it's just that growth, and then obviously reaching a goal, whether they may at club level, from whether they've made it into the senior team. That's massive for them, and that joy then goes, well, you've done a good job, Sunz. Boom, you help them get there, and whether it may be a little 5% or 1%, that's enough for me to take. Yeah, cool. You've helped them now get a pro deal, overseas or here, locally. So for me, I love seeing them grow from that just outside school, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line.
Yeah.
I like to see how they've progressed.
Yeah.
And generally, I work with a lot of athletes for long periods of time.
Yeah, cool. Like, and just touching on that as well, as they head into, I guess, more like high performance, and that is your, I guess, your excitement, does that change in terms of, like what you enjoy most? Is it still around improvement, or with the high performance, does it kind of change in regards
Um,
to what you enjoy?
it's still improvement, and obviously performance improvement, for me. So it's gonna be the same, whether it's the high school kids to the elite, national, athletes of the country. That doesn't change. Like, I'm always trying to help them improve.
Yeah.
So little steps. It doesn't matter how big or small it is, but as long as it's improvement,
Yeah.
it's working for me. So that's what I chase, is how well are they feeling under this, training protocol?
Yeah.
Is it helping them, perform better and feel better? Then our job is done.
Yeah. And like when you get those athletes that I guess have come off a really big injury, or they've just had it hit kind of thing. For you, like what's kind of like your mentality or your planning around when they come to you and be like, hey, I
think
still want to,
for
play,
me,
or
yeah, for me, the thing is, I'm like, okay, so you're gonna have to spend the first probably 2 or 3 weeks getting into the head that it happened. You're injured. Just relax. Get over it. Yes, it sucks, but like I say, you have to prep yourself. You have to prep yourself for these moments, because you going up against somebody else in competition trying to be the best.
yeah,
So guess what? When you two collide, somebody's coming off worse.
yeah,
And if it's you, deal with it. Well, the worst part happened. Every day now is a healing, is progress.
yeah,
So for me, it's helping them understand that the worst is behind us already. We
yeah,
injured, it's finished, it's past. Every day now is healing.
yeah,
Every day now is getting better. Every day is striving to get back to sport, get back to performance.
yeah,
So it's more getting into the mental side for them. And once they see that switch and understand, I think it's easy. Because, like, for example, if we go ACL, of course, like the big one, and everyone's 9 months, and everyone gets shocked, like, oh, I can't do anything for 9 months. No, that means 9 months is the general sort of timeline before they let you get back to playing, which means you'll start training months before that.
yeah,
So they already think only 9 months, but it's trying to reassure them that you'll actually be training a lot earlier than you think, but you just won't be back full performance. And
yeah,
that's what we're going to keep driving, is return to performance.
yeah. No, that's really cool, and I think if you break it down like that to them, it probably does take that shock away.
Yeah.
Um, because obviously that's probably the worst thing to hear in any athlete was that, oh, sorry, you're out for this long. And
Oh yeah, I've had 3 ACLs on the same knee,
oh,
so
no way.
I know all about it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like for you, obviously you have mentioned a few times that you've had injuries yourself personally, but in general, as a whole, as a coach, as your coaching career, what are some of the challenges that you've faced or setbacks that really probably not, I guess, made you feel like you want to quit? Because I feel like it's not even in your personality to kind
No,
of feel that way, but like kind of that was like, oh, okay, this has happened. How do I come across moving forward from it?
to be honest with you, there's nothing. Straight up, there's nothing that's hit me yet. And whether that comes down to my planning and me planning for negative situations that arise, and I quickly deal with it and squash it and gone. The thing we just spoke about in regards to injury, the worst already happened. It's in the past. The moment something happens, already start planning. And like I said, and you obviously said it as well, like it's not in me, especially when something's my passion and I see me doing this for as long as I can do this in terms of I get old to the days where I'm in a wheelchair, I'll probably still do it. So like I'm just passionate about it. So I'll always find a way. I'll find a way no matter what.
Yeah. No, that's so cool to hear. Obviously, other than the challenges in that, there must be some, I guess, memorable moments that kind of really stand out for you. So, throughout your career so far, what are some of the main ones that really stand out, like highlights in that that you've come across?
For me, I think when, well, some people say it's bad, you shouldn't only worry about winning. But like, I think winning titles on the world stage for me, again, with Israel and the UFC middleweight champ, Sunz Suburbs winning the National League, the same team that won the National League, I think 9 players signed professionally and left.
No way.
So there's so many of those moments. Then powerlifter breaking like the Commonwealth records, New Zealand records. There's just so many stuff that goes. And then for me, the big one was, I think, with my Mags football team, but the young ones, not the first 11. I think more the year 9s that first coming to school. I think after about 1 year, 2 years, and I seen them again working, and then the difference in their movement, that was victory for me as well. Just from some of them couldn't even perform a bodyweight lunge to now being like sound in their movements because my eye is so critical and fussy. So for me, that part's a victory in terms of the young ones. And by young, I mean under that 14 years old, even the 7-year-olds at Eastern Suburbs, when I used to work with them and help them understand how their body works and control. And then obviously on the other end of the scale, national and international titles, that really gets me going. I mean, look, everybody loves to win, and I'm Chase. I always push for that. So that's me. I celebrate my successes because I always tell people, if anybody wants to celebrate you, they will. If they don't, tough luck. Just celebrate.
No, that's cool. Like for you, like I've spoken to some athletes when they kind of get away and do stuff outside of their sport. Like, what kind of things do you like to do outside of your coaching to kind of just wind down? I know you mentioned spending time with your friends and that, but do you have any hobbies and stuff outside of coaching that you like doing?
Like, so I love rural, so I love the farm lifestyle. I love that countryside. So as long as I'm there, I'm cooking. I love cooking.
Nice.
That's big on me. I love cooking on the fire, and I love fishing and that outdoor sort of stuff, but not on the boat, because I think on the boat it's too easy. I'm all about the surf and the rock.
Nice.
I like that sort of stuff. Just chilled vibes. Like, even if we're sitting around a fire, music and food are the two things that can unite people.
Yeah.
We may not speak the same language, but we understand each other in that moment.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I like that, like chill vibes. I'm not, again, because my job requires so much energy
Yeah,
that
true.
I want real chill times.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's so cool, and so cool to hear. Like, it's kind of very similar in terms of athletes as well. Like you yourself kind of prep yourself and also wind down, is as your, I guess, rest period.
Yeah.
So similar to an athlete. Looking ahead, it's a bit difficult with COVID and stuff like that.
Yes.
But looking ahead, like, is there still goals and dreams that you're yet to kind of tick off? Is there like specific ones that you're like, I really
Um,
want it, or is it more
my
just
fingers are crossed. The Olympics go ahead
yo,
because I want to go to the Olympics with the men's under 23 football team.
yeah,
As a kid, I wanted to be an athlete in the Olympics,
yeah,
but obviously injuries and works, and I didn't quite make it. I was probably not good enough, and that's okay.
mm,
But I'm still involved in sport, and now that this is my world, if the Olympics again is still a pinnacle for a coach,
yeah,
so
for sure.
that will be a massive tick off. And then if we qualify with the football team for the FIFA World Cup, the men's FIFA World Cup, that would be huge.
Yeah,
Uh, and then from there, whatever comes,
whatever
comes.
happens.
Those two are on my radar at the minute.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's so cool, and that's like two massive like
yeah,
sporting events.
yeah, big time.
So that'd be so cool. You mentioned like obviously you were a player and then you went into coaching. What was, I guess, the point where you were like, okay, I'm gonna do coaching instead now, like almost to the point where you've accepted that you're not
Right,
gonna play anymore. Like,
right.
talk us through that thought process and stuff. I'm actually currently going through that now, so I know.
So that for me, it was like uh, obviously I wanted to be a professional footballer or go into professional like road running. That was
But
my jam. Uh, but yeah, once I got my first knee injury, it took about 4 years before I could return to the field.
yeah,
Normally, it only takes within a year, but mine was taking longer. Everything going wrong because it was such a big injury. And then I came back and tried again, and didn't really work out. It was you play a game and it'll swell up for the next 3 days, and you're like, oh man, nothing's working. And before you know it, I had my second operation, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I'm finished. There's no way in hell I'm gonna do anything with this knee in terms of sporting excellence. I play like socially with my friends and stuff because then I
mm,
can, just ease out and have fun with that.
yeah,
But I still can't, even with social, I go super competitive because that old Sunz wants to come out.
yeah,
But yeah, for me, after the second injury, it was I knew, nah, I got to fully dedicate in a way that I can help.
yeah. And do you find like it was obviously when you're playing in that, there's that feeling of excitement and when you're playing, when you're training in that. Do you find that same feeling in coaching, or uh,
Oh,
yeah,
yes, I am. Oh my word, I am so passionate on the bench and on the sideline. Oh my life, you think I'm
you're one of
still a
those ones
player?
now?
I get I'm so invested. Like sometimes, oh, it's so bad. I even got red carded from the bench one season. So
What, you can?
yeah, you can and
No
you can.
way.
Oh, but look, this time I didn't do anything. I
Yeah.
didn't say anything.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I'm genuinely I'm so invested. I'll be screaming. I'll be helping the players. Everything. I'm looking if anytime there's a break, water bottles are out.
Yeah.
Everything's out. I'm just trying to make sure that everything goes to the T.
Yeah. No, that's
Mm.
so cool. And it's cool to hear that like you find that same passion, if not more.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think you also mentioned like because you're so invested in seeing them improve and you're so focused on performance. I guess though every little win for them is a win for you, as
yes.
well. Just coming to a bit of a wrap up, with the podcast. What would some of your advice be to, I guess, an athlete wanting to take that next level in their sport, or in their training or whatever it may be?
Have a priority list. have a priority list and write things down, because writing things down makes it clear. And look at the list, and each thing you write down, ask yourself, how much value is it adding towards you and your goal? How much value is it to be to your goal? Is it pushing me towards my goal, or is it something that's going to weight me down? Adjust the list again. Ask yourself the same questions. Is this priority list right? Primary versus secondary importance. And then from there, I think it's very easy. If you're driven and your mind is set on it, follow that checklist. If you're somebody that's just breaking through into a sub-elite environment, you've done all the hard work that made you stand out already to get. You don't have to do anything else. Just keep doing what you've been doing better. There may be something else you can dedicate your time. Like if you find yourself spending too much time doing something that's not going to aid your improvement, maybe go, okay, can I do like a mobility session at 30 minutes in the day? Automatically, it takes that place on the priority list. Things like that, small little improvements makes things better.
No, that's really cool to hear, and hopefully, obviously, some athletes listening to this can take little things like that. I've never heard of a priority list doing that, so that's really cool to hear. Thanks for sharing that. And lastly, what kind of advice would you give for a coach that's about to step into, I guess, either strength and conditioning or just in general with the team looking at, obviously stepping into the coaching scene instead of
100%.
playing?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. My thing is, if you're a coach, keep things simple. Work with what's in front of you. Understand the group of people in front of you. When you understand the group of people in front of you, you'll understand what works as a group, what works for individuals. Strengthen their strengths and watch it grow.
Yeah.
Don't be influenced by everything coming out like video analysis of, oh, that team did this, that. Yes, analyze, be aware of what's evolving in the world, but don't move away from the group in front of you. Understand who you're working with, the strengths you have, and the weaknesses you have. And from there, it's very easy, simple.
And just taking on from that, for you, how have you found, as I guess again as advice for a coach, to relate with the group in front of you, or how do you get to learn more about them, especially in a team environment, because you can have a lot of
It's very tricky. I think interpersonal skills are quite important. I think a lot of people focus on their coaching skills, but to enable you to be a good or a great coach, your interpersonal skills, it's always a person or a human first before an athlete. So you got to drop yourself down to their level. So you got to be a person just like, find out their story, where they've come from, who's in their family, siblings, mother, father. It's going to take months or even weeks. If you spend, okay, I'm going to spend 10 minutes, 5 little 10-minute slots in a day, speak to each player. By the end of 2 weeks, I'll formulate enough notes. I'll understand who they are, where they come from. I'll understand what they like, what they don't like, because some people will like you drilling them. Some people don't like to be spoken that way.
Yeah.
So understanding them as people first will help you bring out the best in the athlete.
Yeah. Man, that's so cool. And honestly, like, there's so much gems that you've shared today, and pretty much since the beginning, to be honest. But just want to thank you so much for just being real and open and honest. I think a lot of people can take something out of this, whether they be an athlete or a coach. I know that you've inspired me, and in this short amount of time. But is there anything else that you want to touch on before we close up? Obviously, I really do appreciate your time. You're busy.
No, I think I think thank you for giving me this chance to speak, because again, like I say, I want to help as many people, and even if it's just my words that could help someone, then I guess job is done. So for me, it's just keep on keeping, doing you, and not getting influenced by external factors.
Yeah, 100%. And if people want to find you either on social media or on online, where's the best place to get in contact with you?
For me, best place will be Instagram, Coach Sunz,
Yeah.
because I'm active there very much all the time on Instagram, replying to emails, the work. So yeah, Coach Sunz on Instagram, boom, easy peasy.
Epic. And we'll chuck your URL down below. But for everyone listening, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks again to Coach Sunz for your time, mate. And everybody else, obviously, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, keep up to date with who's next. But it's pretty cool to have our first coach on the podcast. Thanks heaps, mate.
Cheers, no problem. Thank you.